What kind of a company takes 11 years to become an overnight success?
هذا لي خوره يمكن بعد هذا ما ادري شفت هناك ولا صدق اطالع ولا طبعت الستيتمنت ولا these were the sales for that day وجايه من 95% of it جايه من طلبات. I'm like my goodness يعني انا عايش عقب الله سبحانه وتعالى عايش على هالموقع. فاتصلت بعبد العزيز قلت له عبد العزيز تكفى ابي يعني شو اسمه ابي to talk business with you. فقال لي لا محمد.
That gut feeling, it turned $3 million into $170 million. But here's what nobody tells you. For most of that decade, everyone thought he was wrong. This is the Talabat exit, and it's a masterclass in surviving until the market catches up. It's 2010 in Kuwait. Mohamed Jaffar is a corporate banker who opened up a restaurant called The Kitchen. And the kitchen is dying. It was a difficult challenge in the beginning, and my daily sales were very low, ranging between 30 to 40 dinars, which was way below the break-even level of 150. He's making $100 a day. He needs 500 just to break even. So he does something desperate. He lists The Kitchen on a local food delivery website called Talabat.
So I joined Talabat, and my first day was I sold for 420 KD. Wow. So from 30 to 40 KD to 420, and I thought that's it.
His sales multiplied in one day. And that's when Jaffar saw what nobody else in Kuwait could see yet. This wasn't just a website. It was infrastructure, a network connecting hungry customers to restaurants. And once you were in, you didn't want to leave. So he convinced his family to do something crazy. Buy the whole company. $3 million for a food delivery website in a country where most people still called restaurants directly.
الصبر وهذا أصعب درس يعني أصعب درس ممكن واحد يواجهه لأنك لازم تصبر على المطاعم شلون يتقبلون هذه الفكرة. لازم تصبر على العملاء شلون يتقبلون هذه الفكرة. العملاء يعني في السابق كان يدق تليفون وشيء قدامه قاعد يحاكيه فيضمن ان لما اقول لك انا without onion it's without onion يعني ضامن هذا الموضوع.
His family thought he was insane, but Jaffar understood something the market didn't. When you're early, you look wrong, until suddenly you look like a genius. The question is, can you survive long enough to find out which one you are? If your business is in crisis right now, if the margins are gone and the runway is short, this wait for the market advice might feel a bit useless. I hear you. We'll cover exit options for distressed companies in a future episode. But for now, stay with me, because even in crisis, these principles we share today will apply to your case. The company was founded in 2004 by a group of Kuwaiti students. Their system?
When we first started, we used to route orders via phones. Yes, we had a website, but when we receive an order, we used to call restaurants and communicate the order to them manually. We were just being redundant. The customer could have called the restaurant directly. A year down the road, we used to route orders via fax machines.
Yes, a fax machine. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes the restaurant just ignored it. In 2004, less than 1 in 4 Kuwaitis were online. The iPhone wouldn't exist for another 3 years. Nobody trusted e-commerce. Nobody ordered food online. The founders were solving a problem most people didn't know they had. By the time Jaffar bought the company in 2010, they'd grown, slowly, about 700 orders a day. But they'd also made a critical mistake. In 2007, the founders tried to expand into Saudi Arabia using a franchise model. It failed badly. The franchisee didn't share their standards operations collapsed. By 2009, they had to buy back the Saudi rights just to stop the bleeding. This is what Jaffar inherited, a business that worked in one country and had failed in its biggest expansion and was operating in a market that still thought online food ordering was a gimmick.
However, we didn't know, so we said, okay, let's outsource the application. Back then, we had only website. There was no iPhone app, no Android app, and the trend of the apps was on the rise. So we made that big mistake of having to say, okay, let's outsource to companies so that they can give us the best industry practice. Even though Talabat had engineers that can do that job. And that was a huge disaster. And we outsourced the website, a new website. We outsourced the application, and it was a complete disaster. After that moment, we never outsourced anything, and we do everything in-house. And a business like Talabat, it needs it. It keeps quality consistent. And
Jaffar learned the lesson. You can't outsource your standards. If you're going to expand, you do it yourself. So that's exactly what he did. Faith Capital, his family's investment firm, poured $15 million into GCC expansion. UAE, Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. Direct offices, local teams, full operational control. Jaffar spent 5 days a week outside of Kuwait, flying country to country, setting up operations, building the network, restaurant by restaurant. We found it very tough in the beginning, just like any other startup company in the GCC, especially since we expanded to all 5 countries in roughly the same period. It was also very expensive, and growth was slow at first. Expensive, slow, and for years it looked like a bad bet until it wasn't. The iPhone launched in 2007. By 2012, smartphones were becoming mainstream in the Gulf. Internet penetration climbing, mobile apps taking off, payment solutions emerging. Talabat launched its iOS and Android apps, and suddenly everything they'd built for years, the restaurant network, the delivery operations, the customer trust, it all started compounding. 700 orders a day when Jaffar bought the company. 50,000 orders a day by 2015. That's 5 years. The market finally caught up.
we are over 15,000 orders per day, alhamdulillah. 7 people, 140 people. We're about to hit 1 million downloads for our application. Now, these are, alhamdulillah, good numbers. When I look at them, I feel very proud. However, I believe this is just the beginning still.
This is what being early actually looks like. You spend years building when nobody believes. You survive the slow period. You keep your standards high when it would be easier to cut corners. And then one day, the world changes and you're already there. By 2014, Talabat was the dominant food delivery platform in the GCC. Over 1,500 restaurants, 400,000 users, market leader across multiple countries. And that's when the phone started ringing. Rocket Internet, the German e-commerce giant. They were building a global food delivery empire. They had operations in dozens of countries. But they had a problem. No presence in the Middle East. The Middle East in 2014 was one of the fastest growing e-commerce markets in the world. Young population, rising smartphone penetration, cash on delivery that actually worked. They needed to be there, but building from scratch would take years and bring its own risks. Or they could buy the company that already did all the work.
It has a huge value. We didn't want to sell it. فقلنا حق نفسنا ايوه اذا تبون ترى هذا السعر this is the point اللي نتكلم فيه. Anything less we're not interested to open.
لما كملوا سوالف عرفتوا انهم موافقين على هذا السعر.
صار ردوا علينا قالوا we're all interested. all the parties really. فبالنهايه انا يالي you can say 3 huge offers. فبالنهايه اي واحد انقي فيهم. وهذا this was the tricky bit now. Do I choose this offer or this offer or that offer?
That's what happens when you build something acquirers need before they know they need it. Quick question for you. Have you ever been in that too early phase where the market wasn't ready, but you knew it was coming? If yes, drop it in the comments. I'm building a list of founders who survived the wait. Some of you might become future episodes. Talabat didn't just become attractive to Rocket Internet. They became a necessary addition. But here's what separates founders who get acquired from founders who get acquired well, profitably. You should always have an exit plan in place. I'm not saying you should go into a business with the intention to sell. Instead, you should go into a business with the intention to build something great. Build to sell, even when you have no intention of selling. That's not about being mercenary. It's about discipline. When you build with exit readiness in mind, you build better systems, better documentation, better governance, a business that runs without you. And when the buyer shows up, you're ready. Jaffar continues in the interview saying, I focused on creating an actual culture within Talabat, an environment that allowed our people to strive for success because they believed in the business. I also saw the importance of having a quality management system. All our business operations expressed in writing, policies, processes, and procedures. And when Rocket Internet did their due diligence, they didn't find chaos. They found a machine, a system. Once the decision to sell was made, the deal closed in days, not months, days, because everything was already in place. February 2015, the deal closes. $170 million at the time, that represented roughly 2 to 3 times Talabat's gross merchandise value, or in short GMV, a premium reflecting both regional scarcity and strategic necessity. For Jaffar and Faith Capital, that's roughly 50 times their investment. It was very emotional for me. I would tell any aspiring entrepreneur not to take this for granted. Like anything, you become attached to your business, you become attached to the people you work with daily. It isn't easy to let go of that. But here's the twist nobody expected. Weeks after acquiring Talabat, Rocket Internet transferred the company to Delivery Hero, their own portfolio company, which is focused on food delivery. The acquisition was never about Rocket building their own Middle East operation. It was about strengthening their position in the global food delivery game. And under Delivery Hero, Talabat kept growing. Today, Talabat operates in 8 countries with over $9.5 billion in annual orders, valued at roughly $10 billion. From a fax machine in Kuwait to the largest food delivery platform in the Middle East. Let me give you the 3 things from Talabat's exit you can actually use. And before you think that this is just a $170 million tech story and it doesn't apply to me or to my business, remember, Jaffar, he started from a kitchen, a struggling business. First, being early looks wrong until it doesn't. The question isn't, is the market ready? The question is, am I solving a real problem that will become obvious once infrastructure catches up? Talabat solved a real problem, convenient food delivery. The infrastructure wasn't there yet, but smartphones were coming and internet penetration was rising. They built for where the market was heading. If you're early on something real, your job is to survive long enough until the world catches up. Second, build what acquirers need before they know they need it. Rocket Internet needed Middle East presence. Someone was going to own that position. Talabat made sure it was them. Ask yourself, what strategic imperative will force a larger player into my market? What would make us the obvious acquisition? Build that, document it, become impossible to ignore. Third, exit readiness is a discipline, not a phase. Jaffar didn't scramble to get his house in order when buyers came calling. He'd been building a machine from day one. Culture, documentation, systems, processes, a business that runs without the founder. When the offer came, they closed in days. That's not luck, that's preparation. Talabat wasn't an overnight success. It was 11 years of building in a market that wasn't ready yet, surviving a failed expansion, maintaining standards when it would be easier to cut corners, and becoming so essential that global players had no choice but to buy them. That's not timing, that's engineering. If you know a founder who engineered a rewarding exit in an emerging market, drop their name in the comments. If you can tag them as well, please do so. The best stories become future episodes. I'm Adil, this is Exit Builders. Build something they have to buy.